the Indian side, but I think among all the keepers in India, Kiran More has to be the most chirpiest.
Partiv Patel.
PP.
PP. We've worked a lot with PP, you and
Yes.
I, so I've got to get him out there. But he always had a little. It's always the short keepers too, isn't it? PP, I love you, PP. But
They're all short, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, well, we've kind of got sidetracked here, but I'm quite enjoying this conversation about wicket keepers. I suppose with MS Dhoni, he's kind of changed the nature of the keeper a little bit, hasn't he? Because he is just someone who just kind of gets on with a bit of talk, but he doesn't really like to waste his words, MS.
Yeah, well, look, I was fortunate enough in my IPL career to play for the Deccan Chargers and for the Chennai Super Kings. The keepers for both those teams, Adam Gilchrist, who we know has been the Walker. He was never that chirpy. He could if he wanted to from time to time, and then MS Dhoni. So I think the two greatest keepers I've seen in terms of overall with their batting and their leadership and all of those things, when you throw that into the mix as well. So a real privilege from my perspective to play with both of those guys. And I think both of those players had an aura and a presence about them as well. It wasn't just all rubbish talk and then a lack of substance around it. They did command the field that they were on through leadership and performance. And I think that's the key for a wicketkeeper who, it will always be a little chirpy, but it's an important part that you back it up in all other aspects.
Riddhiman Saha, another name that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Not very chirpy, but so efficient, so effective behind the stump. Same mold like MS Dhoni. So I think generally people who come from eastern part of the country, Matt. I also come from Bihar. I think we are kind of mild-mannered, not very chirpy at all.
So Robin Uthappa?
we can ask him.
Yeah. Well, he's a life coach these days.
Yeah, he's a life coach.
When we do ask the experts, can we get someone please to ask a life question of Robin Uthappa? That would be great.
And he will solve all of your problems. In fact, I'm hearing we have a question. I wonder if it is a question for the life coach. Let's have a look. It's Manish Sinha. Can confirm that Sabha was the most honest and one of the most talented wicket-keeper batsmen. I just saw some highlights of old matches and his timing was exquisite. Are you related?
I need to make it very clear, this is not prompted by me at all. See, that's a confirmation, Scotty.
Yeah, I'm going to have a little slide doing all in jest, of course.
Yeah, please go ahead.
But saw some highlights. Did they have YouTube back then?
You can watch for some of my highlights. I can let you know which one.
Okay.
All those highlights in which I didn't drop a single catch, I'll let you know. You can only watch those.
I have no doubt, to be being serious for a moment, that you brought up Riddhiman Saha, and that's a perfect example. And I'd imagine you're both very similar. There you go. Yeah. It's the only compliment you're getting.
Cheers.
What I'm interested in, actually, and you can send Manish that $20 that he wants after sending in that tweet. I'm interested, in your era when you were playing, did you feel under any pressure to score runs? Because the role was different, wasn't it? Did you feel I've got to score X amount of runs, I've got to contribute as a batter, or did you not really feel that? It was all about your glove work?
I think it was a changing environment those days. That's when the shift was taking place. Having said that, before me or during my time, we had Nayan Mongia who was equally capable with the bat. At times, he would be sent to number 3, and those days it was called the pinch hitter, if you recall those days, Scotty. So he would come into bat at number 3, and he was able to score some valuable runs. So the importance of your prowess with the willow had come into the picture then. And I think that's what most of the keepers from my generation were looking at. One-day cricket had become very prominent those days. And as a wicketkeeper batter, you were expected to come in at number 6, number 7 and score some valuable runs. So I think the shift had taken place by then.
And that's sort of my definition anyway of what a great player is someone who changes the game. That's why Viv Richards is one of the, if not the greatest batsman, the way that he changed batting to this aggressive, put pressure back on the bowlers. The West Indian quicks did the same. We saw a big increase in pace around the world to what we see now because of the West Indies. And Shane Warne did the same for leg spinners. And I think Adam Gilchrist was probably the first wicketkeeper that came along that really did change the role of the wicketkeeper. And now every side around the world has that real fearful, dominating wicketkeeper punisher to come in at 6 or 7 in the batting order or up the top of the order in white ball cricket, and they do that because I think he was a great who changed that role.
Look at the way the Indian team has been utilizing the services of Rishabh Pant. He came in as a whiff of fresh air. MS Dhoni out of the side, in come Rishabh Pant, and I placed some match-winning knocks at the test level, and I think that's what India wants him to do even in white ball cricket. He has not been a regular in the T20 cricket before his injury, but now since his comeback, which has been so miraculous, India wants to utilize him in number 3 because they believe in him. They believe that he has that match-winning instinct, and that is why we see him now in the T20 side.
Right, keep your questions coming. We're absolutely loving answering these. Hashtag Ask the Expert. Those are Rishabh Pant's stats across the formats. I mean, pretty good all the way through. Maybe you would say T20 internationals is the weaker of the 3 suits if you were going to pick those from those stats.
Look, I've been, as I said before, I've been a little concerned with Ravi Bishnoi. Well, one, I've been super impressed with the way Rishabh Pant has come back from that horrific leg injury. But I'm a little concerned with what I'm watching from Rishabh Pant in terms of his batting technique. There's no foot movement whatsoever in T20 cricket, and he's only able to pick the ball up over the leg side using the pace. We saw in the IPL team start to take the pace off and bowl wider, and he doesn't really get his body weight into the ball like you're naturally taught to do since he's come back from that injury. So I'm hoping that will come as he gets more and more game time under his belt. But at the moment, there's quite a big hole in his batting technique, which is perhaps not, it certainly hasn't been exploited last night when Sri Lanka bowled to him. They kept bowling the straight lines and he's just able to pick the ball up. So it's naturally going to take a bit of time for him to find his feet once again. But you must say, from a horrific leg injury, the way he's moving as a keeper, it's a great sign that he will get back to that amazing player that we know he is.
If you compare it to, say, someone like Johnny Bairstow, who had a very bad injury, but not anywhere near as bad as what happened to Rishabh Pant. And he looks different, it's affected the way he runs. He almost has a limp now. It has affected his mobility. The fact that Pant has come back from that injury and looks at the moment, touch wood, he looks physically like he hasn't been diminished too much. It'll be interesting to see how he goes in 50 overs, but it is an incredible comeback.
Actually, he's come back fitter. If you recall those days before his injury, he was kind of bulky, but now he really worked hard. And I think his rehab has been phenomenal. And the kind of work the surgeon and all the physios at the National Cricket Academy at Bangalore have done, I think all that has been superb. I think he's been very well taken care of, and I think on his part, individually, he's worked very hard to come back into the Indian side. And it seems that the Indian team was just waiting for him to make a comeback. As soon as he came back and he played in the IPL, the Indian team was ready to welcome him. And one can expect, and I think what Scotty is actually alluding to is that at the international level, as a batter, you need to keep adding more dimensions to your batting, and I think that's what Rishabh Pant has to add. If you become one-dimensional, then the international bowlers, they tend to figure you out, and I think that's what Rishabh Pant has had to face so far. Anything away from his hitting zone, he's not been able to play those shots with the kind of control which he shows generally. And I think that's the area of concern for him. And that's one area where I'm sure Gautam Gambhir and the other batting coaches, they'll have to work very hard with him. Because I feel in T20 cricket, it's still work in progress in terms of his batting for Rishabh Pant.
As I mentioned, keep those questions coming in. We have another one to put to the guys. Ooh,
is it for the life coach?
It's like a lucky dip. What are we going to get here? It's Ashish. Does 2 wicket keepers in the team work for India? Can't we try for another all-rounder? So I guess he's referring today. You've got Samson and Pant in the side. Can they get another all-rounder? So I'm guessing he's saying, can he get it at someone who can bowl ahead of Samson? Because you're not going to have Pant out the side, are you, at the moment?
The fact that Sanju Samson keeps is completely irrelevant. He's not got the gloves on. Sanju Samson's been picked because he's there as a batsman in a batting role. So if you want to tell me that there is a better batting option than Sanju Samson, then I hear you and I understand, and you can make a case for him to come into, whoever that is, to come into the side. But if you want to take out Sanju Samson just because he's a keeper, then bring in another all-rounder. Well, then who's opening the batting? It's not as simple as that.
I'm going to throw this name in there. You could have Abhishek opening the batting, and he's also going to give you a few overs of left arm spin. I know, but I'm just saying, if he was, they could have brought him here, and they didn't. So I guess that's kind of what he's getting at. Could you have someone in there in that spot who can bowl a few overs?
But there are different slots available now, and I feel Sanju Samson comes in on his batting performances and has done quite well. And we've seen what he's capable of as a batter for Rajasthan Royals and IPL. And I think he has continued in the same form whenever he has got an opportunity. Just before this, in the Sim series, he did very well. So, I mean, why would you keep him out? I think he should be given more chances. He's been rather unfortunate that he has always come in as a replacement or as a stopgap arrangement for the main wicket keepers. Way back when MS was around, I remember, I think 2015, if I'm correct, he made his debut in Zimbabwe. And that's the time when MS Dhoni was the regular wicket keeper. And then after that, the shift took place and then Rishabh Pant came in. So it's been a tough phase for Sanju Samson.
I think part of the problem too for Sanju Samson is he's too versatile. And that is, everybody else has their role, their openers, or they bat 3 and 4. Now, we know in the IPL he's had great success batting 3, but for India he's often come in at 5, or he's now opening, or he very rarely gets that settled spot, isn't he? You're quite right, he's the replacement player. He's almost a jack of all trades, and he doesn't get that opportunity to really nail down a spot. We heard Riyan Parag in the IPL say, Sri Lankan legend Kumar Sangakkara, who was the coach of Rajasthan, said, you are going to bat number 4 and you're going to be there for the season. And he credited that for the change in his form because he had some certainty about the role that he was going to play. But, I look at that question there with 2 wicketkeepers and say, well, what is the difference? Just because you keep doesn't mean you should be labelled as that, because someone like Riyan Parag is one of those players. Just because he now bowls a bit, he's not an all-rounder. He's an actual batsman.
But he's shown that those overs can be very valuable.
On a wicket like this, 100%, he does become a bowler. But just because he bowls, he isn't an all-rounder. Just because Sanju keeps, it doesn't diminish the fact that he is there in a batting-specific role to perform as a batsman.
Maybe Sanju should start to roll his arm over, isn't it? Quite like Glenn Phillips. So that's the added dimension I'm talking about. And the wicket keepers. See, I look at the youngsters coming through the system now in India. They understand that they need to develop both the skill set as a wicketkeeper, as a batter, and also not to leave out on the fielding in the deep or even in close quarters. Can they add some more dimension to it? Can they roll their arm over, and why not? Because any sport is all about adding more depth, more space in your own credentials. And I think if youngsters can be able to do that, and that really add their chances of getting into a particular side.
Yeah, I think I've always said cricket is a game of adjustments, and I agree entirely. The best example we've had is Glenn Phillips from New Zealand. I say that with my eye patch on as a New Zealander, because he made his debut as a wicketkeeper, and he came into the side as an opening batsman, wicketkeeper. What does he do now? He comes in the middle order and he bowls spin. Complete change.
And a gun fielder.
And an absolutely brilliant fieldsman.
Yeah.
And so he has made adjustments to his game. He said, okay, I'm competing with Brendan McCullum, Devon Conway as keepers, Tim Seifert, who we've seen just now in the LPL and have a very good tournament. I may not get in the team, so I have to do something to make sure I get into the side. And so he said, I'm going to make sure I get in the middle overs. I'm going to be a power hitter, which he is. I'm going to run between the wickets like an absolute rabbit, and I'm going to be the best fieldsman in the team, bowling some off spin. And it's exactly what he's done. He's made that position his own. So I agree. Maybe, it sounds silly, but maybe Sanju should practice some off spinners or something as well.
Just an update for you from outside. They are starting to get the covers off, which is very good news, but we have started to lose overs already, so we will have a reduced overs run chase if we get back out there. We're still keeping our fingers really crossed, but it has stopped raining. We are hopeful that it won't take too long. They are getting their heavy duty covers off right now. But let's continue this chat about wicket keepers who bowl, because I'm just trying to think. I've seen MS turn his arm over even a couple of times in matches. Can you remember another keeper who bowled as well as, say, Glenn Phillips, who actually ended up as a proper all-rounder?
I can't put my name on that list because I was very bad at that. But I think the younger lot that is coming through the system, Matt, as I mentioned, I think all of them are trying to, add more credentials. And I've seen some under-19 young wicket keepers who are excellent fielders, and they also want to add some more skill to them. And I think gradually one can see that shift taking place in the Indian side. I'm getting back to the Indian team. Over the past maybe couple of years, the Indian team management has been trying to get one or two from number 1 to number 6 to roll their arm over. That is why we saw Riyan Parag today. Yashasvi Jaiswal, I mentioned that in a commentary stint. I saw him bowl in the pre-game, warm-up routines. He can really turn the ball. He has that ability, and I think Sairaj is working very hard with Yashasvi Jaiswal. So maybe during the one days, you never know. You may see Yashasvi Jaiswal also roll his arm over. So that's the kind of change that we're seeing now in modern day cricket.
Yeah, I was talking to Sri Lanka interim coach Sanath Jayasuriya before the game, and he actually said we, as in Sri Lanka, are desperate for top 6 batsmen who can bowl a bit. They don't really have that at the moment. That's part of their problem. Someone like himself, hey, what did he get? 300 wickets or something in the white ball game, whilst being an absolutely dynamic, all-time great opening the batting. And that is exactly what sides are looking for. Sri Lanka desperately needs it solely to provide better balance to your side. It just provides options. So, you're right. I've been watching Shivam Dube warm up. He's trying to add to that, so maybe some opportunities in the IPL to be one of those all-rounders. Then Yashasvi Jaiswal, that's the first thing he does, picks up a ball, bowling leg spinners. So it's a great, I think, lesson to any youngsters listening. Do what you have to do to get in the team. It's not always about, I want to bowl spin and that's it, or I want to be a batsman. You have to work out a way to make yourself invaluable, and that's what these guys are doing. There's so much depth in Indian cricket right now that you have to find a way to separate yourself from everybody else. And if you are an Indian fan, it should be pleasing to see the likes of Dube and Yashasvi Jaiswal and Riyan Parag adding to their games to make themselves better all-round cricketers.
Another area where the state coaches are working hard, Matt and Scotty, is to develop more batting all-rounders who can bowl pace. Yeah. That's why we see the team management backing Shivam Dube so much. And I think in Zimbabwe, he did manage to bowl overs and pick wickets. If you look at IPL, there are a number of these, young batting all-rounders who are willing to roll their arm over and who can bowl. Reddy. Yes, Nitish Kumar Reddy is one of them. Ramandeep Singh, who plays for KKR, if I'm correct, he's another young, talented, batting all-rounder. So I think the state coaches are working very hard to develop this kind of skill also, because that's another reason why Hardik Pandya is such a special commodity. Right now, we don't have anyone in the horizon who can bowl 135, 140 and still bat the way Hardik Pandya does.
Sorry, before we move on, sorry, Sava, to jump in there. That's where I'm still not in my mind, and I don't want to make this an IPL chat, not convinced by the super sub or impact player or whatever it's called, because it stops the likes of Dube, Nitish Kumar Reddy from getting those bowling opportunities for India to develop the next wave of players like a Hardik Pandya who can do both roles.
Yeah, okay. We've got a question for you, Scotty, specifically. Let's have a look at it. Hashtag Ask the Expert. It is from Bushan Naik. A question for Scotty. Historically, why does New Zealand always have quality seam bowling all-rounder options, very topical, at their disposal? He says, like you as well. Again, someone on the payroll. This time Scotty's mate has
which means Scotty's not working hard enough to develop such cricketers, isn't it?
And India has had very few in that time. So how do you explain? Is that to do with conditions?
That'll be one of the reasons. Yeah, I think our medium pacers, I won't say fast bowlers, with even, there have been a few, the Chris Cairns of this world, they very much are. But I think as well, we have a population of 5 million. So we don't get as many players of talent coming through. And often the ones that do get asked to bat and bowl. They grow up batting and bowling because there aren't as many people you have to beat out for competition. And then if you have got some skills, then you often get picked before you're necessarily ready, before you've earned the right through performances, and you develop on the job, if you like. New Zealand often does that. Someone like Mitchell Santner, who's a very, very talented white ball cricketer all around the world, he played a lot of Test cricket with a first-class best bowling of three for. But the New Zealand selector said, we know you're an international quality player, you're not there yet, but we're going to bring you in and let you develop and give you plenty of time. And that's why he's now, where he is on the world stage. So New Zealand has to take a different approach to perhaps India or Australia, where it's a lot harder to fight for positions, where you have to perform day in and day out before you even get an opportunity to play for India. New Zealand, we can take our time because we don't have as many players.
Oh, we just saw your stats there. I wonder if we can get them up again.
Not.
Come on, we'll get it up in a second. Let's just see the umpires walking out. The covers are now completely off. We need to get going as quickly as possible, really, so we don't lose too many overs here, but it will be a reduced overs run chase. There we go, got my wish. That's your T20I career, so 31 matches. Same best as Riyan Parag.
And I knew that.
And he's only played a couple of games.
I knew that. I'm sitting there thinking, Riyan Parag and I've got the same. Surely I can do better than that. Yeah, sadly, T20s came around right at the back end of
Let's
my
get
career.
the ODI stats back up there. Come on. He was more of an ODI player, wasn't he, Scotty? But, I mean, clearly we saw your stats there. Did you always consider yourself as a batting all-rounder? Was there any stage where you felt, actually my bowling's in better shape than my batting?
And just to add to that, what Matt has asked you, Scott, at any point in your international career, did you ever think that maybe I should continue more as a batter because bowling was taking a toll on you? It was affecting your batting performance?
No, see, I was always lazy. and I figured out very quickly the best way to play cricket was to stand at slip so you don't have to run, to bowl so you're staying in the game, and to bat in the middle order when the ball's older. So that is the best way to go about it. But in all seriousness, I think growing up, I would play representative age group cricket. One year I'd be opening the bowling and batting 10. The very next year I would be batting 3 and not bowling. And then the next year it would flip around and I'm batting 10 again and opening the bowling. And I opened the bowling in our first class side on debut. And I bowled and batted at numbers 9 and 10 and even batted 11 in our first class side.
Wow.
Batted 11 for New Zealand in a game, listed at 11. And yet, because I got my first opportunities as a bowler in the New Zealand side, but I was always a batsman who bowled, and it ended up flipping over. And I spent most of my career batting 4 or 5 in my New Zealand career. So you will eventually find your niche, and as I say, New Zealand will go about their own way of getting and developing cricketers, which doesn't necessarily apply in India. Being a fast bowler all-rounder in India is tough work. You've got the heat. You've got conditions that don't necessarily suit you. You've got to find a way. That's why I've got so much respect for the likes of Zahir Khan, for the likes of Jaminda Bas, in these conditions as fast bowlers who have just the years done the hard work. You have to have a bit of a toughness about you in this part of the world to be a fast bowler. And that's why, not for a second am I suggesting Hardik Pandya doesn't have that toughness. He certainly does. It is so difficult if you're going to bat in the top 6 and be a fast bowling all-rounder in the subcontinent. It takes an incredible toll on the body.
The best players in Test match,
6 foot was in the West Indies. Brian Lara, Chris Gale, Carl Hooper, Sarwan, Wavell Hines, and I don't remember who the other one. All batsmen.
Doesn't matter.
And a run out.
Just blown away the top.
And a run out. And 60 not out in that game.
Yeah, I sincerely hope you got player of the match. Right, but looks like we've got some action, we've got some movement, which is really good. Discussions going on, both with Sanat Jayasuriya, Surya Kumar Yadav, and also Gautam Gambhir. So we anticipate we will be restarting fairly soon, and it will be a reduced overs run chase. Big crowd in today, and when you look around, the vast majority of them have stayed in. They are desperate to see the conclusion of this match. Aru has braved the crowd. She's gone down and found a few of them.
So we are here in the stands at the Palakela International Cricket Stadium, and India is playing Sri Lanka. But I have a few fans here all the way from Netherlands. Let's speak to them. All right. What are you all doing in Kandy, man?
So we are 11 friends, and we're doing a trip through the whole of Sri Lanka. And this is actually the second time we're in Kandy. And today we came especially for this game.
Are you all supporting India or Sri Lanka?
Sri Lanka, of course. Of course.
Wait. First questions first. Do you all understand cricket?
Yes, we are a cricket team from the Netherlands.
What?
The 11 of us all play cricket in Netherlands.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're not as good as Sri Lanka, but we do our best.
Okay, how's your experience so far been at the game?
It's such a nice atmosphere, and we've never experienced this. We've watched a lot of cricket games, of course, but in Europe we never see this, and this is so special for us to be here. So
Okay, alright. How about I teach all of y'all a Bollywood step? Would y'all do it with me?
Yes.
Or y'all ride a bike? Y'all ride a bike? Yeah. Y'all ride a bike? Yeah. Turn the key, and kick the bike.
I've heard Scotty Starr that's one of his really good moves, actually. Am I right?
It's one thing you'll never see is me dancing.
He is an all-rounder. He can do anything.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, bat number 10, number 11, open the bowling. Bat number 3, number 4.
It is all
so
about.
why not this?
It's all about knowing your limitations. Don't go. Stay in your lane, as they say. I am not a dancer. Well, I'd be in a battle for the worst dancers going around. So I do not even try for that reason.
I think I'll be in that competition too. But Saba, you're a keeper.
What is that? What is the
nifty
dance
footwork.
competition in UK, man?
Strictly come dancing.
Yes.
Have you been on that?
No, absolutely not. I would, A, my knee would explode, and B, I would be out first. Although the cricketers have a good record in that, by the way.
Graham Swan's been on there.
Mark Ramprakash won it. Darren Goff, I think, also won it, or he got
Yeah, I think
very
he did.
close to it. Yeah. So Saba,
Is that one of the eligibility criteria to become an England coach? You have to participate in this so that you get drafted into this.
Yeah, it's like your second interview.
If they did a Strictly Come Dancing in India, which cricketers do you think would do well
During
at it?
my days, it has to be Ajay Jadeja. He would walk in easily and win all the competitions because he would groove so well in the nightclubs. Yeah.
He's not going to be happy with you.
No, he knows me quite well.
It's fine. He's in the Hindi studio, so
Yes.
he's not watching. But someone will probably send it
Among
to
the current lot, I really don't know. Hardik Pandya, even Rishabh Pant for that matter.
Yuzi Chahal.
Oh yeah, Yuzi
Chahal would
Really?
definitely. I mean, he loves a TikTok dance, doesn't he? So I would put him up there. I think should we get the franchise of Strictly Come Dancing and start it up in India, and get a few of the celebs.
Yeah, you know what? I would love to see the former Indian coach Rahul Dravid put on his dancing shoes.
Somehow, I don't think it's maybe something that he might want to do. I could have got that wrong.
You never know. He's so mysterious in all his other ways. He carries this halo around his head. So the moment we're able to remove that halo, then you never know. We might see him dancing with his own dancing groove, so to speak.
I'm sure if he decided to do it, he would do it well because he's the kind of guy that's just good at everything, isn't he, Rahul? But how about Shikhar? Shikhar would be made for a show like that, wouldn't he?
Yes, Shikhar also. Yeah, he loves to go out. He loves to enjoy his life, and I think whatever I could make out from his social media posts, it seemed that he revels in all this. So I think Shikhar Dhawan is another strong candidate. But even the younger lot, look at Riyan Parag. He would do his. Did you see him do his Assamese song whenever he would, or Assamese dance whenever he last season? I think even this year, whenever he would pick up a catch or take a wicket or even get runs. So that's called the Bihu dance in Assam. So he does that quite well.
Right, okay. You can teach us that in the break. But we are going to take a break because we've been chatting for a very, very long time. The good news is play is going to restart imminently. As soon as we find out what time and how many overs, we'll let you know. Stick around.
Thumbs up for all of India. He is a superstar in the making. He really is. thumbs up for all of India. He is a superstar in the making, he really is.
So, welcome back to Cracks Biggie's Extra Innings. Long rain delays, but now we will be resuming this run chase, and we've lost quite a few overs. The revised target for India is now 78 off just 8 overs. The power play is going to be just 2 overs. We've already had 3 balls, so there's 9 balls left of the power play, and 4 bowlers can bowl a max of 2 overs to make up the 8. So no need for a 5th bowler if you don't want to use one. This is what happened in the first innings. Sri Lanka made 161 for 9 from their 20 overs. It was another collapse, though. They were 130 for 2 of 15 overs, so 31 for 7 in the final 5 overs. We saw Janet Pereira with a half century, 53 off 34 balls. Second game since he returned to the side. They once again had a good platform thanks to the likes of Nissanka, but they couldn't take advantage. India were superb at the back end of the innings. Ravi Bishnoi, 3 for 26. Got 3 right-handers out. It was a real team effort, though. A couple of wickets for Arshdeep, Aksha and Hardik, and even Rian Parag and Mohammad Siraj. No wickets, but played their part. Were very economical. So Sri Lanka now having a chat how they're going to go about restricting India here to less than 78. Saba, what's your thoughts on the DLS target? Because 162 off 20 overs, India would have fancied their chances. Is 78 off 8 overs a similar job? Slightly harder, slightly easier? What's your view?
I think slightly harder, because now they require 72 from 45 balls. Plus the power play is only for 2 overs, out of which India has already consumed 3 deliveries, which means they're left with 9 deliveries of power play. So India has the luxury of having a very strong batting, so much of muscle in the middle overs. So I think India can really go hard. This is an achievable target, but I think Sri Lanka would fancy a chance if they can pick up 2-3 quick wickets. There is always a possibility that Sri Lanka can win this encounter also.
Sri Lanka's perspective, and this is my greatest shame, I'll admit it. I was born in Australia, so every now and again I think like an Australian.
So all this time having a go at Australians, and you're actually almost an Aussie yourself.
I'm going to skip that. I'll get to the point I was trying to make. If I'm Sri Lanka, Dasun Chanakya's got 3 balls, my hamstring's gone, and I'm out. And then I'm bringing my frontline bowlers in, because I'm just looking at the scoreboard about who's actually going to bowl those 8 overs. Now, you've got to say Patirana is a certainty to bowl 2 of them. Hasaranga, Tikshana, you've got 6, so they now need to find 2 overs. Now, will they, with my Australian hat on, bring in someone like Asita or even Ramesh Mendez, who we've seen the spinners really do a job? So how they go about managing their 8 overs from that perspective, I think it possibly favours Sri Lanka a shorter game than what it did to chase the longer game. As opposed to the total, I'm with you. I think India with 10 wickets in hand should be able to get these runs. But it's going to be a fascinating way of just observing how Sri Lanka go about the makeup of those 8 overs.
Well, from an Indian point of view, if you say, well, I'm playing in an IPL game or a T20 game, and you get to the point where you've got 8 overs left and you need 78 and you've got 10 wickets in hand, you'll take that all day long.
You always want to do that, and I think India would always fancy the chances. As I said, I think India has got strong batting power to get to that target. But I think this revised target has given the chance to Sri Lanka, that if they can pick up some quick wickets, they do have the bowling resources. Scotty talked about Patirana, they have Tikshana, they have Hasaranga, they have wicket-taking bowlers. And when you have a revised target with only X number of overs to bowl, you can always have faith in your regular wicket-taking bowlers to operate and pick wickets for you.
So Jaiswal has faced the first 3 deliveries. He's alongside Sanju Samson. Then we've got Sky, possibly due in at 3 if right-hander gets out. Rishabh Pant 4. That could well change. They want a left-right combo, and then a real engine room, haven't they? They've got Hardik, they've got Rian Parag, who's yet to get a score in an Indian jersey. Rinku Singh slated to come in at 7, plus Akshay Patel at 8. When you look at that, they really should be getting these runs. And then you've got the likes of Bishnoi alongside Arshdeep and Mohammad Siraj as the last three. But when you look at that batting lineup, I mean, the numbers 3 and 4 score quickly anyway, but do you see any reason to promote anyone? Say they lose a wicket early, maybe send in a Hardik or...
Well, the only one would be Hardik, because we've seen him do it before time and time again, particularly in the IPL for the Mumbai Indians. However, I'm with you. It's the trend we've seen. Gautam Gambhir has done it with KKR. He really does like the left-hand, right-hand combination. So potentially that won't change too much. If Yashasvi Jaiswal's the first man out, we may well see Rishabh Pant come in at 3. Personally, I'm a huge fan of just leaving Surya Kumar Yadav at 3, and because he's such a game breaker, and you know those strike rates. Look at it, 168 as compared to everyone else. Really, only Rinku, who hasn't been in great touch, didn't get a lot of opportunities in the IPL due to the teammates above him doing such a good job. And then, of course, you know, Yashasvi Jaiswal, 160, 160, 175 for Rinku. That front three still have to do the bulk of the scoring, because if they get to 30, 35, 1 down, then India don't have to worry about losing wickets. They can just go for the total. Where they might fall over is if they all of a sudden go too hard up the front and they're 10 for 3. That becomes a problem for India. So I still believe, like it would be in a normal 20-over game, the front three need to do the bulk of the scoring.
We did see the ball turn there, didn't we? Riyan Parag, and it was notable that the balls that turned were the ones that he took pace off and tossed up, really. I wonder if, you know, the likes of Hasaranga,
bowling lineup on a spicy
going to
track
learn
at
from
Kingsmead.
that way that he bowled.
Okay, well, that's clues on no hands from any.
Yes, I think Yashasvi Jaiswal has to play a key role, and I think Sri Lankan captain Asalanka would be thinking how to get rid of him, because his strike rate has been phenomenal. And I think you have several options. Hasaranga, one of them Ramesh Mendes, because of his ability
हो जाएगा, ये भी कवर हो जाएगा। और एक चीज़ और बता दूं, कुछ ऐसी टिप्स एंड ट्रिक्स है जो आप सभी लोगों को हर लीग में, हर मैच में काम आने वाली है। अभी जैसे अब तक लंका प्रीमियर लीग में अपना एक भी मैच लॉस में नहीं गया, प्रॉपर एंट्रीज के साथ सब चीज़ें आप सभी लोगों को प्रोवाइड करवा देता हूं मैं, ठीक है। तो किसी के भी बातों में आगे किसी को भी मुंह उठा के पैसे मत दिया करो, ठीक है। इसमें आप ही लोगों का नुकसान है। वैसे बने रहिए सभी के सभी, और देखते हैं क्या होता है। बड़ा ही शानदार ये मुकाबला चल रहा है, और इस मुकाबले में किस टीम के जीतने के चांसेस है वो मैंने आप सभी लोगों को टेलीग्राम चैनल पर प्रोवाइड करवा दिया है। जाकर देखिए इस मुकाबले में कौन सी टीम विन करेगी, और फिर मिलते हैं आप सभी लोगों से। यूं ही बने रहे, अच्छे खासे मेंबर जुड़ चुके हैं गाइस। फटाफट से वीडियो को लाइक और चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर दीजिए, और कमेंट करें। देखिए, देखते हैं कौन कहाँ से है हमारी लाइव में जुड़ा हुआ है। सभी के सभी अपने सिटी का, स्टेट का नाम कमेंट जरूर करें एक बार। मैं इंडिया से हूं, आप सभी लोग कहाँ से हैं कमेंट करें फटाफट से। और यहाँ से भाई धड़ाधड़ कमेंट आ रहे हैं, इंडिया इंडिया इंडिया। भाई ऑफिस वाला मैच लाइव दिखाएंगे भाई, इंडिया वाला मैच हाँ करेंगे ना लाइव, इंडिया वाला मैच भी लाइव करेंगे। आप सभी लोगों को सपोर्ट रहा, सारे मैच लाइव करेंगे, चिंता मत कीजिए आप लोग, ठीक है। और यहाँ से ये लीजिए, जितने भी मेंबर लाइव में जुड़ते जा रहे हैं उन सभी लोगों के अभी मैं नाम लेना शुरू कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है। जो मेंबर अपना नाम कमेंट, अपना नाम बुलवाना चाहते हैं लाइव में, तो टेलीग्राम चैनल को ज्वाइन करें। जो मेंबर ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं उनका सभी का नाम अभी मैं बोलने वाला हूं। मुमताज़ जुड़ चुके हैं हमारे साथ, स्वागत है मुमताज़ भाई आपका हमारी लाइव में। और देखते हैं और कौन कौन जुड़ चुके हैं, सभी का मैं नाम लेने वाला हूं, ठीक है। सिद्धार्थ जुड़ चुके हैं, रवि जुड़ चुके हैं, कादिर जुड़ चुके हैं हमारे साथ, अंसारी जुड़ चुके हैं, अविनेश वर्मा जुड़ चुके हैं, विकास नायक जुड़ चुके हैं, प्रशांत जुड़ चुके हैं, रवि कोहली जुड़ चुके हैं, एमडी नज़र आलम जुड़ चुके हैं, दीपांशु जुड़ चुके हैं, और गौरव कुमार जुड़ चुके हैं, वसीम जुड़ चुके हैं, राहुल रॉय जुड़ चुके हैं। बहुत सारे बंदे हमारे टेलीग्राम चैनल पर जुड़ चुके हैं। जितने भी मेंबर, अनिल जुड़ चुके हैं, शार्क जुड़ चुके हैं, राहुल कुमार जुड़ चुके हैं, और धनंजय सातू, रवि रावत जुड़ चुके हैं। जितने भी मेंबर लाइव में जुड़े हुए हैं सभी के सभी टेलीग्राम चैनल को फॉलो कर लीजिए, टेलीग्राम चैनल को ज्वाइन कर लीजिए। लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन कमेंट बॉक्स में पिन है। टेलीग्राम चैनल पर इस मुकाबले को आप लाइव देख सकते हैं, बिल्कुल फ्री भी है। आप सभी लोगों को किसी को भी किसी भी मैच से रिलेटेड कोई पैसे देने की जरूरत नहीं है, टेलीग्राम चैनल पर बिल्कुल।
We are going to play. This is the target. India need another 72 runs of 45 balls. Their target 78 in 8 overs. Yashasvi Jaiswal, he's had strike of the 3 balls bowled so far. 6 runs. These are the revised playing conditions. Target 78 of 8 overs. The power play 2 overs. 4 bowlers can bowl a maximum of 2 overs. Dasun Shanaka to complete the over that he did start a while ago. He's picked that up in the gap. Will it skip away? Yes, it will. Starts off with a 4.
Yeah, no side is needed for Jaiswal. Decent delivery by Dasun Shanaka. Length was good. Swinging back into the left-hander. But a good strike. Kept a good shape and swung through the line.
Batting like Jayasuriya. In the land of Jayasuriya. Yashasvi Jaiswal. Just a couple of decades later. But he's smashing it from the first ball.
Why don't you just stop at Jai? First player to score 1,000 runs across formats in 2024. That's Yashasvi Jaiswal for you.
If you're the batting side, you've got your work cut out for you.
Yeah, the covers were brought on, but the ground stuff a little late today because the rain surprised everyone, and heavy rain too.
Bosch again.
So the grass would be moist, the ball will come back wet, and that'll be a problem for the bowlers.
Brilliant again.
Tries to go offside because there's a deep mid-wicket and a deep square leg.
Another beautiful save.
But losing his balance, Kusal Mendis has thrown the stumps down.
Check out that athleticism. Diving effort, just gets his hand out.
No one in the deep on the offside, and that's why Jaiswal goes the other way.
He's outstanding in that spot.
He threw everything at that. I think his bat was in the air. They're checking upstairs.
I heard HD talking about.
We are going to be having a look at it.
I played with Tertius Bosch at Northern Transvaal actually before he went to Natal, and he was lightning quick. And I remember Corbin Bosch coming to the ground often as a little blonde-haired youngster. A couple of catches.
Okay, the batsman is in his grounds with the wickets are broken. I have a decision for the Giants screen.
Amazai supporter.
Oh, there you go, not out it will be. Kusal Mendis' throw a little too early for
play in their backyard.
A second later, there will be a different story.
Because the interpretation is different to a stump than to a run out.
It's good 4 runs.
He sliced that. Will it be safe? Yes, it is safe, all right. Oh, Deekshana.
Along the ground as well.
In all sorts, but manages to hold it in. 12 off the first over.
So straight, there was no chance for the fielders in the deep. Picks up 4 runs.
We want a wicket. Asmatullah Umar said we want a wicket.
Oh, wickets. Almost got one. He's got beautifully so far. He's got 1 for 9.